Megtooth Sabers requires a lot of work on engineering, drilling, smoothing, tapping, setting, imagining, cutting, stripping, twisting, dipping, tin it, pin it, wire it, fire it, lock it, cast it, swing it, bash it. Megtooth Sabers.
Let's try that again with sound. Yeah. We got you. So I want to say, hey, Max, and hey, Janice, Smooth Jazz family, Eric, Cole, the True Music. Good to see everybody. Hope everybody had a great holiday season and Christmas. Ella had a great Christmas. She got her Princess Saber. And what I was saying was, I was a little concerned about that gift. I mean, Ella's a girl. She's 12. Yeah, she watches Star Wars, but you're always concerned how's she going to take that gift. It's not clothes. It's not shoes. It's not stuff that she's usually into. But she seemed to have liked the saber, so I think it was a good gift. Hey, Fat263's on. Kyle Rainey. Good to see everybody. So I wanted to show y'all a couple things. And certainly y'all got stuff to talk about. Christmas. I reset the grips on this one. So I did have the grips back here all the way to the pommel. And I removed them back forward so they're where there should be. Now I got to finish weathering them again. But that Star Killer is really close to going on the market. So keep your eye out on YouTube for that Star Killer. And then I got this Star Killer. And, oh yeah, had a great Christmas. Hope y'all did too. I got this Star Killer, and I'm hoping that heat stain turns out on the video. But look at that. So I wanted to do another one of these Star Killers because I had another one in the box because I wanted to heat stain that emitter and see if I could get it looking Kylo-ish. Because y'all know I have Kylo Ren heat sinks to do. So I think I did a real good job on heat staining that heat sink. And this one's going to get, this is a Phoenix Prop 7 Chambers. This one's going to get, weathering as well. Probably won't go as extreme as I did on this Star Killer. You can see the two side by side. How extreme the weathering is on this one versus this one. This is a Saber Royale. This is a Phoenix Prop 7 Chambers Star Killer. But at any rate, I wanted to show you all those. And I know I had promised that we would do the, oh yeah, Max, she's very happy. She definitely liked the Saber. It was a good present. I promised that I would bring y'all along on the Mentor build on these Mondays. And, I had quite a bit of time off work. I got called in on Christmas. So we actually had work to do on Christmas, which that's a bad day for somebody. But at any rate, I did get some work done on the Mentor Graflex, and I wanted to show you guys the progress. So there is I see you, Mike. And Mike, your Saber is up on my bench tomorrow. So I got your speakers in from the custom Saber shop. So hopefully I can get your new speaker in your Saber and get that Saber back to you. But this is the interior, the guts of the Mentor Graflex. and it is all wired. I know you guys are depressed that I got the switch on, the slide switch on, and also have the main switch on, but I want to show y'all something. Check this out. This is going to be crazy. I'm going to have to bring y'all in closer. Here and look down on the bench and get all this stuff going. So I'm going to hook up my test rig, and you know how the live things go. Live things are always crazy, and this is going to be no exception, I see. I'm going to move that box out of the way because I'm just worried that box is just going to lead to tragedy. Now I'm hooking this up to my test rig, so I don't have this, you know, put on the board yet, but you guys can kind of get a preview of what the chassis is going to look like on this thing. It's crazy. There we go. So you can see it's got the stock connectors in there. And I'm going to bring y'all in a little bit closer. So hopefully you can see that. My test board is a Prism, but this is going to have try to get y'all even closer there. This is going to have Profi on it when I get it done right. But I know I said I was going to bring you guys along on the build on this one. And, you know, that didn't quite happen. Let me get this test board and everything put away. I did have so many days off of work that, you know, I wanted to get this done. So it's actually the crystal chamber and chassis and the buttons are all wired up. And I just had to get this done while I had some time. This Saber, you know, has basically 4 crystals. So you got a crystal here, a crystal here, a crystal here, and then you have the blade generating chamber down here, which y'all aren't going to be able to see. It's in there. It's right in there. But, you know, that's the Mentor Graflex with the Solo Sold blade holder. And I got this, you know, cover, and the buttons are all hooked up and tested. Everything works. And, you know, the only thing I have to do is get the back half of the chassis on and wire it up and install the Profi, and she'll be golden. But yeah, tonight I was using trusty old Prism. This is a Prism 5.1, but it's been reflashed to Prism 5.5. This is my test board. And it's basically a speaker, a power wire, a negative wire, 2 buttons, and a female NeoPixel piece to drive pixels with. That's how I build my blades and test my Saber installs to make sure they're working right. Y'all hang on, we'll get you back in there in just a second. Ugh. There we go. Trying to get caught up on the comments. But yeah, that's the Mentor. So I'm sorry I didn't bring y'all along for the ride on that one. But, you know, I was doing like a warm-up for tonight last week when I had some time off work. And there was so much going on in that chassis, and it was so complex. There's no way I could build that with all these cameras around and everything. But wanted everybody to know that, you know, I did start the build on that. So I'll bring y'all along on another project on Mondays. But, you know, it is what it is. That Saber is going to be awesome. That's the coup de grace in my collection. Man, if somebody came to me and said, how much would you charge to build a... so the True Mystic, the Prism doesn't exist anymore. This is, I guess, kind of an outdated soundboard now. The Prism, basically CFX replaced the Prism. But Plector Labs used to make Prism, Crystal Focus, and Nano Biscotti, and some other boards. Prism was like their mid-grade boards between Crystal Focus and Nano Biscotti. And Prism, you know, is it'll do NeoPixels, and it does NeoPixel effects, but this board was replaced by CFX. So I use it as a test board. Some people will be happy with that in their Sabers. You know, Prism doesn't have smooth swing. It uses the old traditional sounds. So that's what that is. But I just use it as a test board. That's how I test my NeoPixel strips when I'm building blades. That's how I test the guts, you know, of my Saber once I've done the install. But what I was saying was, if somebody like really wanted one of these, even if they bought all the parts, which are expensive, because just these parts on this chassis, not to mention the covers on the rear, are very expensive. I even got this is the speaker pod, and this is the speaker. And the speaker has 2 LEDs, power indicator LEDs. There's going to be so many LEDs on this thing, it's going to be crazy. It's going to have lights going all over it like a Christmas tree. Going to take a plan just to get all the, where do I put all the wires at on that. I haven't even sat down and wrote out the plans yet, but I need to do that while all the wiring is fresh in my brain in case I have to set the Saber aside. But, you know, I wanted to build one of these just to see if I could do it, and certainly I can. But this is massively advanced, massively time consuming. If somebody were to want me to build one of these, it would cost a lot of money. You know, these chassis, just the chassis and printed in metal, is around $2,000. And well, it's in a housing there too, the True Mystic. So the speaker's actually in a housing, and that housing actually has LEDs on it too. So this is part of the 3D chassis that goes in the back of the Mentor, and it's got LEDs on it. Here, I'll show you. I'll light up these LEDs so you guys can see that all lit up. But yeah, if somebody wanted me to build one of these Mentors or a, you know, master metal chassis Martin Beyer, it would be very expensive, very time consuming. You know, the Goth 3D chassis, even the crystal chambers are, you know, they're a lot of work, but they're not. There you can see the lights on the, that's the speaker pod. And it's got LEDs on it too. It's crazy. But that's pretty slick how I wired that. To tell you the truth. And I got resistors in there too, but they're all hidden. But there's the wiring on that. Nice and tidy. Everything's neat. What's the cheapest Graflex you can make? You can make a pretty cheap Graflex with just a basic chassis max. You know, I think you could probably get them, you know, under $500-600 maybe with just a simple chassis in them. And I don't know if Smooth Jazz Family's still on, but if Eric's still on, I saw Eric asking in one of FET 263's video about lightning block. On Matt McGreary's prop file, lightning block does not work when you're in battle mode. It doesn't work. And also muting, activate and mute is kind of finicky, and it's not been working either. And I haven't had the chance to talk to Matt about that yet, about either of those problems yet. But if you ignite your Saber with the buttons, you can still get lightning block with the buttons the way you're supposed to, but you cannot get it in battle mode. Oh yeah. So Eric, I definitely wanted you to know that, yeah, in battle mode on the buttons that your Saber's programmed with, you don't have lightning block in battle mode. I wanted to make sure that you heard that. But at any rate, how did y'all do for Christmas? Anybody get anything good? Anybody, you know, get any Sabers in? Get any cool stuff for your family, or have any cool experiences with your family you want to talk about? That's yeah, no. Well, I have used them in mute, but it's usually because everyone else is asleep and I just want to swing it around. But usually I don't run them in mute either. But yeah, you don't have lightning block with Matt's button files. And I wanted to say that because I know in Fernando's last video, I saw you comment about that. And, you know, Fernando said, yeah, you still have it. Well, you do if you're using FET 263's lightning block. Yeah. Like I said, in Fernando's prop file, it does work. But in Matt McGreary's, which Smooth Jazz Family Sabers are programmed with Matt McGreary's. You got your first Profi Saber, got it from Crimson Dawn. You're loving it. That's awesome. Mike Hendershit got a 3D printer. Oh, man, that's like a whole nother wormhole that I don't want to go down. But that's awesome, Mike. Congratulations. Glass etched Jedi code written in Arabesh. That's cool. That's awesome. Made by your wife. Your wife does glass etching? Max, that's crazy. Mike went to North Carolina. Yeah, Asheville is almost, it's actually quicker for me to drive to Florida than it is to drive to Asheville, Mike. North Carolina is really wide. It's short, but it's really wide. So Asheville is like on the other side of the state for me. It's about a 6.5 hour drive. Yeah, Fernando, he didn't put the control in while battle mode is running, and also something that he did converting his prop file over killed the activate while muted. So I got to talk to him about that. I just hadn't had a chance yet. I already printed 2 chassis for 1.1 inside diameter hilts. That's awesome, Mike. I got a couple hilts here from Vader's Vault, and I need to find chassis for them. Actually, I have 3 of them. Stand by, I'll show them to you. They're pretty cool hilts. Give me a second. Find these puppies and show you these hilts. Stand by. I haven't left y'all behind. So, you know, one of my regular customers, he had these hilts sent to me, and I didn't do the etching on them or anything, but these are Vader's Vaults Havocs, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a big Vader's Vault guy. But he had these sent to me, and I got to find chassis for these. And they're hard to find chassis for because the inside diameter is really, really small. And then he had this one. I don't know what this is, but I think it's a Vader's Vault hilt. And it's custom etched, which that's got a pretty wild etching job on it. That's a pretty nice saber. It's totally empty. The other 2 are not. The other 2 are, they're installed with CFX, and the install was kind of not so good. So yeah, I got to find the inside diameter of this. No, a Graflex has a lot better than a 1.1 inside diameter on it. Max. It's pretty big. I got my calipers. We can put calipers on a Graflex. So I have a Graflex right here. So that, you know, that chassis that I'm building, that crazy chassis, it's going inside this Graflex. This is a New Hope Graflex. So let's look at what the inside diameter is on a Graflex. Get my calipers out. We'll tell you. Yeah, Maelstrom, Sinchow. Yeah, I got to find some chassis for those that'll work for Profi. Because I'm going to be installing both those Sabers. Let's go. Let's see, we want it in inches. 0. So the inside diameter of a Graflex is about 1.38 inches. So it's a lot bigger than 1.1. 1.4 inches. Hey, Ken of the Hill. Hey, Ken, what was wrong with your recharge port that day? Was it just a bad recharge port? That one you posted about? Smooth Jazz Family, once that, you know, yeah, once FET, gets all that into production, you can your sabers with Profi are infinitely upgradable. So yeah, you can always upgrade them to have the latest and greatest features. The one thing that I tried to tell you when you first got your saber is, enjoy it. Enjoy this saber with what it's got programmed in it. These new features drop all the time, and if you always send your saber to me every time a new feature drops, you'll never have your saber. It'll always be at my house. So what I kind of tend to this is my philosophy. Once enough new stuff drops and you think, okay, now my saber's out of date, that's when you should send it to me. But right now, Eric, this is Smooth Jazz family. Your lightsabers are on OS 5.7 with battle mode, and in my opinion, I think you should enjoy them for at least 8 or 9 months, if not more, before we upgrade with new features. But yeah, you can definitely put the new features on there. Shut off pin in the RCP. Yeah. Ken, I've run into a couple of bad RCPs, but sometimes crap happens. Usually when a saber's running fine and you go to charge it and then it doesn't turn on, it's going to be something in the RCP. A saber isn't just going to die when you pull the kill key or pull a charger out of it. It's going to be, that bad cut off leg. It didn't bend back out to make contact when you took out the kill key. But that's going to be it. Yeah, Eric, I'm glad you're liking them. I just think, a lot of times people are like so excited. I mean, Fernando's dropping, videos almost every day. And, Fernando's got all these ideas running through his head, and he kind of puts them out there to, I guess, get feelers and feedback. And, some of the stuff he's working on implementing now, we've been trying to get for a long time, like being able to have a track player in Profi. And he's done it. And he uses hilt gestures to rotate through the tracks, and that's pretty cool. It's not implemented yet. It's experimental. It's stuff that he's developing. But yeah, certainly once he finishes the development on that and Frederick's happy with it and it gets implemented into the new OS, it's pretty easy to upgrade your saber. That's the cool thing about Profi. I mean, like I told y'all before, hang on a second. Let's go get, it's not just Profi. I mean, it's Teensy Saber too. I know, Fernando's killing us. This is, and we've talked about this lightsaber before. This is Teensy Saber. It's got a Teensy Saber sandwich board in it. I installed this saber 3 years ago.
Close your eyes.
And
Feel it.
it's Teensy Saber. This is, I think, my 3rd or 4th NeoPixel saber I ever built. And
It will guide you. The saber. Take it. Kind of felt you.
so it's got, OS 5.7. It's got
I need someone to show you.
gestures. It's got everything. It's got everything that Profi has. I installed this saber 3 years ago with Teensy Saber V3. So this is like, and for those of y'all that don't know, Teensy Saber V3 was basically the first iteration of Profi. And, but it had to use a sandwich board. It had to use a Teensy 3.0 sandwich board on top of the Teensy Saber to make it work, which is why it was called Teensy Saber, because it did use a Teensy board. So then Frederick invented Profi, which was a standalone soundboard that didn't need to Teensy anymore, so that's why Profi changed names from Teensy Saber to Profi. But Teensy Saber V3 was like Profi 1. And then you had Profi 1.5, and now you have Profi 2.2. So that's kind of the progression of those open source soundboards. I think it's less than 1.1 inch. I haven't actually measured the inside diameter on this thing, but it's small. It's small, man. Yeah, it's actually 0.95 inches, so it's less than an inch. 0.99. So it's even less than an inch in diameter on the inside. So it's crazy small. I did try a 1-inch. I did try a 1-inch in this and it didn't fit. So a 1-inch isn't going to work. So a 1-inch was too big. But I don't know what I'm going to do for chassis on these things. But I got to build these out for Tony in Taiwan. And I'm just trying to find the right chassis. Quick question from the True Mystic. He's finding that he's managing to turn off his saber with the switches when spinning. Is there something you can research to disable switches type of mode? And I don't know if battle mode already does that. Yes. So battle mode does do that. So battle mode actually disables your switches so you can't hit your buttons while you're spinning your saber. That was one of the, Fernando had that thought, the same thought as you did. And, when you're in battle with your lightsaber, you don't want to be accidentally hitting buttons and shutting it off. Yeah, Cole, you should update your sabers to 5.7. The two biggest operating, the Profi operating system, the two biggest changes that I can recall since I've been messing around with it, it's been about 3 or 4 years, was 3.9 with color changing and the blaster, and 5.7. Those two OS upgrades have been monumental. So, I'm guessing you're probably on 3.9 or color changing fork or something, Cole, but 5.7 is life changing. Your sabers will be completely different. It's like having an entirely new saber. It is, it's pretty incredible what Fernando and Frederick and everybody have done with 5.7. Definitely life changing. Battle mode makes your lightsaber really come alive in ways that nobody probably thought possible a few years ago. And it's awesome. I mean, battle mode is just incredible. Battle mode is like a dream. Ella's still learning how to work battle mode, because it's kind of complicated. But see, so this saber's in battle mode. Can't turn it off with a button. Have to use gestures. That's the only way to turn it off.
This is the weapon of Lord Vader.
Luke Skywalker.
I've been waiting for this day for a long time.
So the Truth Mystic, I think there's some strange wiring on my CD Saber. What's a CD Saber? I don't know what a CD Saber is. Which was a little strange with your prop file. It appears that both my switches are wired to one Profi button terminal, although not too sure. Usually if you have two buttons wired to one terminal, it's just like on a Graphics. If somebody uses a clamp card switch, you could have red button activation and clamp switch activation as well, and that would go to the same terminal. But that define's only going to work if you're running OS 5.7 and Fernando's prop file. So Crimson Dawn. Lord. But yeah. OS 5.7, Cole, is huge to run that if you're still on 3.9. But OS 5.7 is big, humongous. It's awesome. But what else? What else did you guys do? I know Fernando was working all through his holidays. He got the track scroll and all that stuff going. And that's pretty cool. The Profi OS just keeps developing, keeps moving. And, our sabers keep getting better and better and better. And it's crazy. I mean, I still think it's crazy that all that's running on Teensy Saber, Battle mode, accent swings, color changing. It's just insane to me. My lightning blade. That's crazy. So that's pretty awesome. Well, the True Mystic, you can't just add that define to your config file. You also have to make sure you're running FAT263's button file too. Yeah, see that dial control. So it's pretty cool for you to know how you're using dial control with the Saber off, which we still retain dial control and color change when the Saber's on. Those are the kind of ideas that make me think that a buttonless Saber, and I do realize that, you know, when you lose buttons, you're going to lose some functionality. But I'm thinking now with battle mode that really probably not going to lose much functionality. You know, you could probably like turn auto blast on while the Saber's off and then ignite it in battle mode and then have it in auto blast to get your blasters. You got your force push for the force sounds. You got lock up, drag, melt. You've got all that without even touching a button. So to me, buttonless Saber, it's not that far off. And a buttonless Saber would be pretty cool. I know I'm excited for Matt to start working on his 0 button prop file. Ron Davis stripped the CFX bad burn board and trying to rewire it to a Profi dual stock PCB hilt OLED. Scary as your second Saber ever. Yeah, that's a lot of insane wiring. I'd almost say I would totally rewire the OLED completely. I wouldn't even trust the wiring that's in there. And, you know, what caused the CFX to burn? That's the only thing I'd be concerned about using the existing wiring. If you had a board melt, you know, yeah, I'm not worried so much about editing, Fernando. Just kind of want like a lightsaber that doesn't have any buttons on it, that just ignites by magic and still has most of the features. And I know you're going to lose some functionality on it. I mean, most of my sabers will still have buttons on them. But if somebody said, hey, I want a saber with no buttons, or I want this hilt and you can't drill any buttons anywhere on it. I actually had a guy do that one time. He sent me a hilt and I'm like, well, where do you want me to put the buttons on? And he goes, I don't want any buttons. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work. So yeah, that's the only thing I'd be concerned about reusing wires, Ron, is if you had a short or something to fry the board, you know, especially in the main NeoPixel and battery wires, you know, I wouldn't want to reuse any of that crap. But that'd be my only concern with rewiring it, would be that. Will there ever be a way you can just, this is from Smooth Jazz Family, will there ever be a way you can just change the blade styles fonts through the SD card without plugging into board or computer? So Eric, Smooth Jazz Family, yes. In fact, Fernando's already working on an editing and scrolling feature, and that was one of the videos he came out with over the holidays, and you can work on that. That's coming. But Eric, the more you get into these sabers, especially if you get Profi sabers, I think it would massively behoove you. You know, one of my customers, a guy that bought a saber from me, I made him a TFA Graflex. His name is Bobby Susanbach. And Bobby read up on it, watched my videos, programmed his computer, bought a Profi so he could run Zadig on his computer. He bought a Profi from Walmart. You know, you can get them at Walmart, and you can also get them on Amazon now because of Electronics 123. And then he got his computer ready to program it. I sent him the config file on the Saber, and I said, well, here's the config file, tweak it and compile it. And he did, and he uploaded it to the Saber. And, you know, now Bobby is writing his own config files, and it's really easy. Well, I say it's really easy. It is easy in that it's something you can spend, you know, a day tweaking your Saber to make it how you want it and adding sounds that you want on your Saber. But it is a lot of work, but it's certainly easy. It's something that you can do, Smooth Jazz family, if you put your mind to it and, you know, read up and watch the videos that are out there. You know, programming look, I've set up a CFX. I've set up an igniter, a spark color, a spark, nano biscotti, prism, and all the config settings that you have to set on prism, nano biscotti, spark, spark color, igniter, and CFX are just as complex as writing a config file for a Profi to get it right. Profi is different in that you're using Arduino to interface with the board and programming the board with what you want on it. But if you don't like what you want, you just write it, you just change your config file and zap your board again. Every time you zap your board, it's a different lightsaber. I think it's just the way to go. But yeah, Bobby definitely figured out how to program his Profis, and now, you know, he has the lightsaber that I built him, and now he can make it how he wants it. And if he sees a new feature or a new font, he knows how to add a new font. He knows how to add Fernando's blade styles. He knows how to write his own blade styles. And if you can master that, it's really easy. You know, I went in and redid the config file on this Saber, and it took me probably an hour to rewrite the config file to go on OS 5.7. And, you know, there it is, no problem. Teensy Saber V3 on 5.7. I rewrote the config file and off you go. Yeah, I think the key thing is, Smooth Jazz family, is learning how to do Profi, and you can learn how to do it without screwing up your lightsaber. Like I said, what Bobby did is bought a Profi off Walmart. They're like $30. Get it at your house, set your computer up to program it, learn how to write a config file, and upload a config file to that Profi you bought at Walmart. Yeah, you're not going to be able to test it or whatever unless you solder stuff to it, but you'll know that the programming took. And then once you know how to program it, you can take the config file, and I include all config files on Sabers that I build. I include them on the SD card. So you just take my config file and make it how you want it and add whatever fonts you want and blade styles you want, and then upload it to your Saber, and then bam, Bob's your auntie, and you're off to the races. Yep, current video still applies. As a matter of fact, you know, there's a Megtooth Monday Live that I put in the tutorial section where we wrote a config file from scratch. And that's in my tutorial section on my YouTube channel. That works. Actually, the adding fonts to your SD card, which I made that video back when we were still using Teensy Saber. In my opinion, that video is still relevant because a Teensy Saber config file, for all intents and purposes, had the same construct as a Profi config file. So that Teensy Saber video, even though it's 3 or 4 years old, is still valid. It just says Teensy Saber instead of Profi. Happy New Year, Mike. Yep, well, your Saber's on the bench tomorrow. I have a meeting to go to at work, but after that I'm coming home and I'll be working on your Graflex tomorrow and installing that new speaker in your Graflex. So have a happy New Year. Lord Reaver and Cameron Ingalls. Been a massive help to me. He's helped me through my issues. Yeah. Thanks, Mountain Sabers. Yeah, I've got a couple of vids out there. Hey, True Mystic, on my YouTube channel, if you go to my YouTube channel, Actual, and I have playlists, you know, I've got Jedi installs, Sith installs, custom Saber installs, and then tutorials. And there's all kind of tutorials on there. There's, you know, installing the Profi OS and installing Zadig and running all that stuff and making a config file, writing your SD card, all that stuff. Making a NeoPixel blade, installing a lightsaber from start to finish, and I've got actually three up there now because we did Ella's Princess Saber on Monday Megtooth Live. We did the install on that LGT Princess Saber live on Megtooth Monday Live. I think I put that one up in the tutorials too. So yeah, there's tons of videos on my tutorial section on my YouTube channel. Yeah, I mean the content just keeps growing and growing and growing. You know, I'll do an updated. I guess we need to do an updated video on how to upgrade to the latest operating system, which is really kind of easy. It's so easy. That's why I haven't done a video on it. And I'm like, man, you download the new operating system to your desktop and you put the config your programming in the config folder, and Bob's your auntie, you're off to the races. You know, you upload your Saber using the new OS folder, and you're on the new OS. Yep. And I wish I was, you know, probably sometimes I'm dumb, and I guess I need to separate the config into all its different sections, and I thought I did that by highlighting it, but I might not have. I could probably explain how the config file is constructed a little bit better and actually understand it now better than I did when I made those videos. I know, Mountain Sabers, I'm so excited to see OS 6, but I don't know how it can top OS 5.7 or 3.9. I mean, 5.7 was big, man. Big. Huge. Yeah. Not me, Ron, because once I created one config file with battle mode, then I just copy and paste all those defines into each new config. So, you know, once you write one battle mode config, you should be good to go. Just don't forget to copy and paste all the new defines into your config file. But, you know, it's been a busy week. Yep. Well, I mean, that's what we all do, you know. I mean, you want to talk about getting better. Boy, this thing has had some challenges. This was not an easy build. And I'm not even done, but I mean, I'm done with the hard part. The hard part on this was, you know, wiring all this and not being able to see the wires inside of there, you know, including on the switch here, you know, and on the switch here, the slide switch. And, you know, I did the video where I showed y'all how I machined that to get the stock connector down in there, but challenging. Massively challenging. This has been my most challenging build yet. That's why I said if somebody wanted one of these done, it would cost a lot of money, because I think I've got 40 or 50 hours into this chassis, and I'm still not done. You know, it would be very expensive for me to build this Saber for somebody for sure. Did you see it running, Mountain Sabers? Were you here when I showed it running? I should show that real quick while you're here. So this is the Mentor Graflex. Let me get this thing hooked up to a battery, and I'll try and show it to you. But this is the Mentor Graflex, and the crystal chamber's up and running. Oh, I need it. Where's my test battery? Any ETA on the sale of your next Saber? Well, it's going to be that one. It's going to be that Phoenix Props, or sorry, this is a Saber Royale Thin Waist Star Killer, heavily weathered, and it's got Profi in it, user replaceable battery. There's nothing really special about this outside of the heavy weathering, very heavy weathering. But I still got some touch-up work to do on this now because I just moved the grips back to where they're supposed to be. So I have some touch-up weathering to do on that. I would imagine that's going up in the next couple of weeks. It's almost done. I need some weathering chemicals. And if I get those weathering chemicals in, we'll be in business in short order. Try and get this up for you, Mountain Sabers. Make sure my wires aren't crossing before I zap on this thing. Stand by. Don't cross the streams. Let me keep these wires separated. I got a mess here. See you later, Truth Mystic. Trying to get to a red blade. Here's a green one. Here should be a red blade. Thing's lit up like a Christmas tree, man. It's got lights all over it. Alright, let's unplug. But yeah. That is the Mentor Graflex on my test rig. That's my Prism test rig that's running it. That thing's going to be awesome when I get Profi in it. I'm super excited. This one's going to be, I know. So, Mountain Sabers, I've had this chassis for over a year. And I was one of the first to ever buy this Mentor V2, and then I just hadn't built it out because I was so busy. Dark Meat by Plector Labs. It's one of their stock fonts. Smooth Jazz family. It'll run on Profi. I probably need to go and make smooth swing sounds for Dark Meat, and it'll run on Profi just fine. That's one of Plector Labs stock fonts. Of course, that's a Plector's Labs board. My test board is a Prism by Plector Labs. But yeah, lots of stuff going on. You know, tomorrow I gotta do a speaker repair, maybe a board replacement. Gotta do some diagnosing and see if the board needs to be replaced in that Saber. I think the voltage splitter was bad on that board, and it was causing some issues with voltage reading in the battery blade, but I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, still a lot more work. I got to finish up the back half on that chassis, and then, you know, the Sabers, it's going into a Graflex. That's a Graflex chassis, and it's going into a TGS Graflex and a New Hope, and you know, I'm excited to get that Saber done. Once I finish that Saber, I'll open up for commissions again, which I told myself I'm not going to open up for any commissions until I finish my Mentor Graflex. Because I kept putting that off and putting it off and putting it off and putting it off and building Sabers for everyone else. So I want to get that Mentor Graflex done. And then, I'll be honest with y'all, my Saber collection, aside from maybe finishing a KRO or a Crossguard, but my Saber collection is complete once I finish that Graflex. There's not a Saber in the world I want that I don't have. And I don't really want that many. Graflexes, I love them. Well, the cool thing about this Mentor chassis is I can build all 3 versions of the Graflex with the TGS Graflex, and this will go in all 3 of them. So that's the cool part about the Mentor chassis, is it works in any replica Graflex. And, you know, the chassis is in and of itself the lightsaber. So this will be the lightsaber, and it goes inside the Graflex core. I don't have a throwaway chassis for a Graflex. You know, Graflex chassis are pretty cheap. You can even put an MHS V6 chassis in a Graflex. I don't know how you would secure it, but it definitely fits in there. Plenty of room in a Graflex for just about any chassis solution you want. Now I do have a, if anybody needs a K4 chassis from Goth, I have the Padawan. I need to put this up on all the lightsaber groups and sell it. I had an OWK3, not a K4. And so I ordered the wrong chassis. So I have a K4 chassis by Goth. If anybody needs one, let me know. I'll sell it for, you know, what they sell it for on Shapeways, including shipping. We'll do Smooth Jazz Family. My YouTube live, the Monday, well, my YouTube subscribers and my Monday Night Live regulars are going to take priority on my install list for sure. That's the way we're going to operate in this next year. No more lottery, too hard to keep up with. You know, if you're tuning in on my Monday Megtooth Lives and you need an install, y'all will get priority. So right now, I think Darth Guide is, you know, pretty much next up. And then after him, whoever else. Trying to get this Saber back to where it's supposed to be. There we go. Now I can shut it down. So she can go back in the display case. Oh, I didn't get a video, but I did put pictures up on my Facebook page. So I put a video link of the lightsaber for the YouTube video, and then I put her reaction photos when she was opening it. So that's up on my Facebook page, on Megtooth Saber's Facebook page. But she definitely liked it. I was relieved because I thought she would pull it out and go, "What the hell is this? I'm a girl. I don't want a lightsaber." Little does she know how much that lightsaber's worth. That's a big present for her. I'm glad she liked it. I'm definitely glad she liked it. But at any rate, yeah, I need to go help Jen. She's having some medical issues, so I need to go check on Jen and make sure she's okay. And I think I told y'all in our last Monday Live vid, but my old house finally sold and closed. So my past life is behind me and my new life begins, and getting ready to get back into saber building. And you know, I'm excited. I'm excited to build some more sabers and churn some sabers out. And hey, Melissa. Well, you're having a lot of good luck. I knew you were getting a CFX Saber, and I think Wild Space Outpost was involved, and I saw that. You know, CFX is a lot more complicated than Golden Harvest. Yeah, I hear you, Max. I'm not into TikTok. I don't watch TikTok. Ella watches TikTok. I don't do that. And this week I've been spending hours and hours and hours on this bench soldering this damn Mentor chassis. Oh my God, what a lot of work that was. If you guys even knew, it's crazy how much work. You can change font sounds through the SD card, Eric. Basically, if there's a sound font that you do not like, just take that. Now, don't change the name of the folder. Take your SD card out, and whichever folder that sound font is, you know, you can delete all the files that are in it and drop all the files of the new font in that same folder, but just don't change the name of it. And you can do that without reprogramming the Saber. Yeah, I'm sorry that I didn't stream the Mentor build, but like I said, I was doing a rehearsal video on that. I was doing a rehearsal on doing, because I mean, I do some rehearsing before these live videos when I'm going to do a build, and there was just no room for the camera with everything going on that. That chassis is so complicated and convoluted, and it would have been profanity laced. It's probably the most difficult saber that I've ever built. It's definitely advanced. You'll be fine, Melissa. Yeah, Happy New Year, everyone. Yes, it is 100% metal. Mountain Sabers. It's Goss Mentor full metal Graflex chassis. It is crazy. Now the soundboard goes in a plastic piece, but all the exterior stuff is metal. Yep. Yep, Plector Labs will help you out for sure, Melissa. That'll be a cool saber. Happy New Year, Ken of the Hill. Glad you got your recharge port straightened out. Happy New Year to everyone. I'll be glad to put 2020 behind us. 2020 had some really crappy moments and some really good moments for me, but I think the crappy outweighed the good. I'm happy to leave 2020 behind and go into 2021. And hopefully 2021 is a damn sight better than the year we're leaving behind. And peace be with everybody. Hashtag nerd up. Remember our long lost Jeff Birch, who's abandoned us all. But keep his spirit alive. And I'm hoping that you all have a great, great year. And hopefully we all have a better year than last year. Here's to getting rid of the vid. Yeah, me too, Melissa. But I got to get going. I got to go check on Jen. So, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Festivus for the rest of us. And we'll see y'all next week. We'll see y'all next year. We'll see y'all next year. Is next week New Year? When is New Year's? Yep. I'll see you next year. Hashtag nerd up. We'll see you guys next year. May the force be with you, or the dark side, as it were.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. As usual, I really appreciate y'all tuning in on my channel. And as always,